Good evening. As you listen to this nice little jam we got going on here, we are SEC After Dark, and we are rocking out, apparently. Joining me on this show is, we're back from Christmas break, back and better than ever, Stephen Willis, Jeb Beecham, Jake Thomas. Cheers, boys. I'm drinking the clear stuff, H2O.
There you go.
Ooh. Got a doctor's appointment.
I gotta hydrate.
I'm on that too.
I got to hydrate.
And in honor of the Sugar Bowl, I'm drinking Land Shark.
There you go.
As you should, Steve. As you should.
Yep.
By the way, those uniforms that Ole Miss is wearing in that game is probably the best in the conference. There is not any uniform that is better. That is fantastic.
The Houston Oilers called. They want their combination back. But like I said, we are SEC After Dark. If you want to find us on social media, look right down there below. Subscribe to us on YouTube. I think last night, Israel and I did the live thing, and we were echoing across 16 channels. We were probably echoing across double that tonight. Our chat is just like the SEC Bowl schedule. It is not quite cranked up yet, but it will be soon. I'm sure Cody will be on here talking all that Ole Miss stuff and all that good stuff. But as you can see in the bottom corner, we're brought to you by Bet Online. It's the fastest and easiest way to make all your bets. Bet Online, it's where the game starts. There's a promo code BELIEVE50 actually that you can use, so that's pretty good. So, got lots to talk about. Christmas break, but I want to start with this because it is today that we come with heavy hearts. A coaching, broadcasting, and video game football icon, John Madden, passed away at the age of 85, and the impact that he left on the game of football across multiple platforms is incredible. I mean, he was a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame broadcaster, and a Hall of Fame video game designer. And I remember the very first John Madden game I bought, and I didn't know like this was going to be a thing for years to come. But I had Madden 3, I had Madden 95. Get this, on the Panasonic 3DO. Steve, do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, I mean,
that's
I'm not
after my
surprised.
time, by the way.
Well, I'm not surprised because it wasn't on the market for like a year, maybe. It was a terrible gaming system. But
Hey,
I had it.
I remember actually playing a Commodore 64. I don't mean to date myself, but
Wow.
yeah, I played Pong on a Commodore 64.
Wow. Okay. Jeb, you didn't think Steve was ancient, did you?
Well, I mean, I had an Atari, but Commodore 64, no, that beats me.
He was the chief editor of the Declaration of Independence.
I wrote the Rosetta Stone.
He did. He came up with the idea. Somebody stole it. But anyway, we welcome you there. Madden 95, Keyshawn Johnson was a cheat code. Like the Jets were a cheat code. Like you couldn't stop Keyshawn Johnson. It was ridiculous. I never thought I'd ever be able to say that about the Jets. And then of course,
that's the last time they've been relevant, ain't it?
Probably. Then I hit college, and like we had a rule you couldn't be Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Because it was just unfair. But I mean, those games, like, just listening to some of the stuff that I listened to today, people were talking about some of the impact that he had on coaches and things like that. And it's like the game was so advanced that it like puts you in all these situations, and people learn the game of football through these situations. Some of it, may not be as realistic as it actually is, but a lot of it is. Like there's a lot of correlation. And so for that, he had a great impact. He was a phenomenal broadcaster. I mean, all jokes aside about him stating the obvious, he taught the common fan football, and that's what he was there for. Him and Pat Summerall were a dynamic duo.
Yeah, people don't remember with the video game, especially, that the Madden game was the first one to do football vertically. Everybody was stuck in Tecmo Bowl and Super Tecmo Bowl up into that time, and that's the way that we played video games. And then Madden provided a vertical experience playing football and a new way to look at how to play, and that actually affected the way that people watched the game, and what they saw was through playing Madden vertically. It's the advent of the end zone angle as opposed to being stuck on the sideline angle over and over again.
Oh my gosh!
And it was absolutely incredible. Yeah, so countless hours in Madden, going 0-12 as my Falcons and Lions. He's gonna be missed. But there's a guy that has on Twitter that's making the rounds. It has probably the hottest of hot takes.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Count like I'm not even going to give this guy credit, but by restating his tweet, but pitiful. That's all I'm going to say about that.
He tried to get famous by being an asshole.
Yeah,
that's what that is. He wanted to get famous. He wanted to get internet famous by being an asshole.
Oh, I missed that. Wait a
minute. It failed big time.
Yeah, Twitter now.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, you need to get on Twitter.
He compared John Madden to a plantation owner through owning players. And,
that is a piping hot take.
Yeah, it was bad. He's a professor. It's like, really? This is how you're going to do this?
He's trying to tap into that whole like racism thing, call people racist and stuff, and that one. Well,
and also there's
here's this guy like way over there, like 1,000 miles.
There's nothing worse in the world than importing somebody else's grievance to try and make you famous. There's nothing worse than that.
No, and this guy nailed it as far as that goes. So, hats off to you. You're the most pathetic person in the world. Cheers. Yeah. So, but. You know, the impact it can't be stated enough. John Madden, what he meant to the game of football and what he meant to this earth. So,
yeah, if it wasn't for John Madden, baseball would still be the #1 sport in America.
Absolutely,
might be true. Honestly,
yeah, he changed the NFL, made it popular.
The video game did a lot of that too.
Yeah, like you said, it taught a lot of us who didn't play a lot of football or coach. How a lot about football that we just didn't know. Like I didn't know things like cover 2 and things like that. You hear those, but I don't know what they mean. But in the game, I actually had to learn what they were. It was a great game. My favorite franchise of all time.
Yeah, and because of Madden, my favorite angle is the end zone angle. I like the all 22, but the end zone angle is what I want to see because the first thing I want to see is where those safeties are going to be. Are they going to be in the middle of the field? Are they going to be in the hash? How are they going to break out? I mean, that's the first step to identifying the movement of the defense and how they move. And
how do the linebackers align? How does the defense align?
You can see all of that.
You know what?
And like I said before that, it was all 22 film, and that's even like the NFL films back, the coaches film back in the day. It was one angle from the side.
Yeah,
and I don't know when the end zone angle came in, but that's a fairly recent phenomenon.
Yeah, now the NFL, you have a side wide, a side tight, an end zone tight, and an end zone wide. And one of my ESPN tried this, and I don't know why they stopped, but they did the Sky Cam. They had like a separate feed for the Sky Cam, and it was just all Sky Cam with no commentating. That was awesome.
Yeah, whenever you can see plays, especially the run game, you can see how it opens up, and you can actually see what the intent is of the play. Not just a bunch of chaos going on the screen, and all of a sudden it's 4-yard gain. You can see how that 4-yard gain happens. Looking for behind.
You can see where the back eyes are. You can see where you can kind of see. You can see the push and where the crease is starting to happen, and you can actually try to coax the running back into that crease, and it's such a great angle. And I think a lot of people would have more educated takes on the game of football if that was the primary angle that we use to watch. I think they would understand why Snoop Connor hit this hole instead of that one, or why did Bryce Young bail on a pocket? Why did Stetson Bennett get sacked? Why, whatever. We could figure it out.
You can also see what gap responsibility looks like. And whenever you hear, even on a zone play and everybody moving, you can see what that looks like. I mean, it's important.
It is.
And you can see offensive linemen working together, communicating. Hey, I got this, you got that, I got this, and you can see the different nuances of the protection schemes, and it's really a great angle, and I love it. I'm here for it. and you can get an 18 shot with an end zone copy.
See, not only did Madden do all this, but he also showed up to save Rick Moranis' team and Little Giants. The guy could do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Annexation of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Hey, in
Greatest
that
football
movie,
play of all time.
the Cowboys were the bad guys. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anytime the Cowboys are the bad guys, it's for me.
All
So-
is right.
All
Yep.
is right. All is right in the world. So, what also is not right in the world, the SEC is struggling in bowl games, which says one of two things. A, who cares? They're bowl games, and these SEC teams are
Bad.
Yeah, we don't really care about these bowl games, and
Yep.
it's just further cementing the point that we just need to blow the whole bowl thing up and go with a playoff, like expanded playoff, and say if you're not in the playoff, see ya, bye. If you want to schedule an exhibition game, you can, but see ya. It's further doing that. All the games that are getting canceled with COVID goes to show you that these games are really, truly meaningless.
Getting
They don't-
canceled with COVID.
Yeah. A&M
A&M.
Uh-huh.
And COVID.
Oh, you
with
don't
A&M.
you have a walk-on quarterback that's never played?
Yeah.
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, we don't want to get embarrassed on national TV.
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
When this variant is an advanced sniffles. So, I'm not going to get into all that. But
I do like the memes that are on Twitter right now. It's like, we found how to take care of the Omicron variant. And it was like a bottle of NyQuil.
Oh my gosh.
That's a pretty funny thing.
it is very funny. But, you know, I don't put much stock into all of this. Like, I don't think Mike Leach really cared about being in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl.
No.
Florida had a coach that I don't know who was more disinterested, the team or the coach or the interim head coach. Like you usually as an interim head coach, you're excited for a bowl game because like, hey, I'm the head coach. Like I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, but
It
he's
doesn't
done
matter
this
what game
before.
it is. But this guy's like, I mean, he's just like this all the time. And his teams are committing personal fouls, and he's just like walking up and down the sidelines going,
I mean, let's be honest. Florida gave up halfway through the season anyway. I mean, they gave up.
Well, they didn't have a quarterback. Neither did
Yeah.
Missouri. Neither
Yeah.
did Auburn. And I mean, that's the thing going through those games. And then Mississippi State, Mississippi State was favored. But Mike Leach losing a bowl game where he's favored by 10 points is not exactly a new thing.
No.
This happens about every other year in a Mike Leach system because he's just not interested in bowl games for whatever reason.
yeah, he's just there, and they're going to do whatever. And the most important part about the bowl game for him is the practice. He don't care about the game, and you can tell. So, and I said it, I said it with Vinny and Israel on Beast of the East when we previewed the Birmingham Bowl. I said, look, if Auburn turns this into a 7-on-7 game, they're going to lose. But if they can keep this to a physical trenches battle, they're going to win. And for a while, it played out like that. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter, things get a little bit more desperate. Houston gets a little bit more like urgent with what they're doing. They try to dictate it into that 7-on-7. Auburn let them, and they won.
Auburn might have a little bit of a problem right now because the end of that game looked like the end of the Iron Bowl. They just went straight down the field and scored the touchdown that they needed to score. And whether it's a Derek Mason thing, that's a not getting aggressive and going back into a shell, preventing. It's
hate
obvious.
prevent
Yeah,
defense.
it's obviously not working. When aggression was their only weapon at the end of the season, because T.J. Finley was awful. I think he's an FCS at best quarterback right now.
Oh, he's terrible. Like they're I know LSU fans were like, "Oh man, we shouldn't have let him go," and they did him wrong. No, that's a good thing. He was awful, and they couldn't. Like Houston gave them so many chances, and some of the throws he made, Steve, you and I the four of us could have made those throws because there was no pressure. You just
He was overthrowing by 30 yards.
Looked like Joe Milton out there.
Yeah, that's what I said. He had a Joe Milton-esque deep ball. And see, the weird thing about TJ Finley is 2 or 3 passes during the game were absolutely unbelievable. They're just unbelievably difficult passes. They were on fade routes. They were placed in the right spot. It's everything that you would hope a quarterback would make. And then he would follow that up with missing 3 5-yard crossing routes. It was bizarre.
Yeah. And then Smoke Monday does what Smoke Monday does. Gets a targeting penalty. This one I didn't. This one I didn't agree with because he led with his hands. Just. Yeah.
And I want to say that I forgot the guy's first name, but Simpson, when he got ejected, I hated that call too because, I mean, the quarterback's going for a slide and he's already going down to make a tackle and he ends up hitting the quarterback.
And you could tell he was trying to throttle his body down because he didn't just absolutely blow him up. Like he could, like if it was some malintent, he would have blown that dude up.
Exactly.
He was trying to pull up and like he hit him and kind of rolled off. And just the sheer force of him going in for the tackle made it look way worse than it actually was.
Right.
And they hit him with a targeting. I'm like, oh, come on.
I
Like
know.
maybe an unnecessary roughness. Like in soccer where you get like a bad reckless challenge and
it's just give him a yellow card.
You get more leg than the ball. You just give him a yellow card because you have to give him something for that.
Right.
It's the same thing. You just, penalize him 15 yards. Great. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Don't kick the kid out of the game for that. That's just that's silly.
Everybody's talking about Smoke Monday and the ejection not being warranted. The only thing that saved him from not being ejected at that point was the fact that he closed his eyes before a tackle. Because they had him for targeting before. He just closed his eyes and missed. He launched. He did everything he was supposed to do. They called targeting on it, but when they looked at it, it basically closed his eyes and basically missed.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that saved him there.
Yeah, because he was going in for the kill on that one.
Yeah.
You knew he was going to get one. They wanted him to get one so badly. So when they saw him and they saw another dude flying, they just assumed, and they got him. So that's a reputation thing, man. What can you do? But yeah, Finley, good grief, seen better arm on a chair. Yeah.
Saw
Tank had a
better
good
arm
game,
on
though.
Little Giants.
He tried.
Tank is their only
Poor
hope.
Tank. Oh, Jake, I got to congratulate you, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Appreciate it. And we got Ricks from LSU too. So
Why? Quit going to Bama.
hey, I mean, Saban warned everybody. If you want to go to this transfer portal thing, so be it.
No,
We'll get the best players out there.
he lobbied to bring the signing class that you can have their initials up to 32 if people left. That returned the advantage to schools like Georgia and Alabama. When it was at 25, you had a choice. You can go all in on recruiting, or you can cut some spots and get the transfer portal. That gave them an additional advantage that they didn't have going into this, and that needs to go away. Also, they need to put a deadline on immediate eligibility, like March 1st, just to slow this down so they have 3 or 4 months of not like transfer portal type stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They got to get a grip on this thing, or it's going to get way out of control.
Yeah.
If it's not already.
is.
But, I mean, they've got to put some more parameters on it. I think they're going to have to do the same with NIL. I think it's going to spiral out of control if they don't put a little bit of regulation on it.
Let it spiral out of control, because this is what people don't understand when it comes to NIL. This is not extra money. This is money that was already going to the school. Eventually, it's going to be NIL or the school, and it's going to be two competing factions to get that money, and that's when it's going to be an element of order when it comes to NIL, because players are not going to get what's promised. Like Kentucky right now, I told y'all, I think Barry and Brown was promised $160,000 over 4 years in an NIL at Kentucky. If he doesn't get that, they're going to develop the reputation of making promises they can't back up, because players talk.
Right.
So all of this money has to go. And there's people that are going to go all in on NIL, and there's people that are going to be pragmatic and wait. And the people that go all in, it's going to be a high risk, high reward type thing. Let's win right now. It's like a really short window in pro football to win a championship. Let's do this right now because it's going to come back and bite them.
Yeah.
I got a question to you guys.
True.
It probably is true, but what are the chances next year Norvell gets fired at Florida State, Travis Hunter and Prime Coach Prime end up at Florida State anyway?
That's a great chance. I mean, it could happen any year. It could happen right now if they wanted it to.
Yeah.
I think Mike Norvell's going to win 8 games next year.
Florida State's they're on a good trajectory. I actually like Norvell, so I think
I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Travis, but I also don't. I think Travis Knight is going to be somewhere else after 1 year. He's going to play 1 year in the SWAC, sees what facilities and everything looks like for being in them FCS. It's fun to talk a good game about everything that's going on. It's another altogether of it's like, oh my goodness, I am stuck here because FCS football in Mississippi, that's a whole different level of poverty. We joke about poverty teams. Those jokers are poor.
Yeah.
Like their practice field is like they practice at a high school.
Yeah.
Just so they can get nice footing. Like their practice field at Jackson State is pathetic. You know, if you really want to get a look into it, I mean, Barstool, say what you want to about Barstool, but they did a really good documentary series on Coach Prime's first season there. It's really good. I recommend it's on YouTube. I recommend you guys check that out.
Look at that.
It gives you really good insight on what Coach Prime was dealing with from day one. And, I mean, he's a real one, guys. I mean, you know, say what you want. A lot of people are thinking that was a publicity stunt and, you know, this is what HBCU football has become, a series of publicity stunts, but this is not the case with Jackson State. And I don't think it's ultimately going to be the case at Tennessee State either with Eddie George. But so I don't know. Like
Coach Prime's got whenever he got Knight, he earned a Power 5 job next year. As long as he wins game at Jackson State, which he will do because there's a bunch of FBS transfers playing at the FCS level. They're going to win games. He's going to get a Power 5 job, and he is going to try to get a Power 5 job. He tried to get the TCU job.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really hard.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I think he's holding out for Florida State, personally, but that's just me.
I mean, they're burning his jersey.
Yeah.
He don't care about that. He knows that those people are unhinged. So anyway, Steve, should we get to the Sugar Bowl?
Let's get to the Sugar Bowl.
Let's do
it.
Ole Miss versus Baylor, 7:45, New Year's night. No, actually, this is going to be a fun game because Baylor
Look
plays
at the sugar falling out of the sky. Look at the sugar falling out of the sky.
Baylor plays like 2013 LSU. That's what their offense is. Everything about this is built like a late Les Miles team at LSU. Ole Miss plays literally like Baylor from that same time period. So the SEC school is the Big 12 school in this situation, and Baylor is playing like the SEC school. I think Ole Miss has the better players and the better team. And if this game gets in the 30s, I question whether or not Baylor can keep up. But it should be pretty fun.
If it does that.
Yeah, if it's 20-17, they've got a shot. If Ole Miss is up around 30, I don't think Baylor can match them.
No, I think Baylor's one of those ugly teams that, you know, you look at all their wins, right? You know, they force teams. I think the one shootout they got into that they won, did they beat TCU?
No.
Yeah, that was a shootout. Yeah, so if they get into a track meet shootout type game, they can keep up for a while, but then they're going to run out of gas. Which, I mean, that's just part of where that just shows you where Dave Aranda is right now. Which he's in a great spot there with Baylor. They're on the rise. They're going to be a huge menacing factor in the Big 12 for years to come if he stays, because just doesn't have the bullets in the gun yet. Like he's got a few pieces here and there. They play some really good defense. They play hard. They just can't sustain if it gets into a track meet.
You look at Baylor right now, and what you see is Nick Saban at Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Baylor is right now. Now, Dave Aranda, he's a buttoned-up dude, and he's unbelievably organized, and you can just see how he is just made to be a coach. And it's actually kind of obvious that 2019 LSU was Dave Aranda more than anybody else, even more than Joe Brady. And I'm looking forward to this game. Now, the benefit is that the style of play that comes with that defense, Ole Miss has seen that quite a bit and played against that. And I expect to see Snoop Connor and Jerry and Ely on the edge of the defense. That's how they're going to attack that. It's going to be the way that Ole Miss has attacked LSU when Dave Aranda was there in 2019. You're going to see a lot of the same stuff that John Rice Plumlee did, honestly, in 2019 that year. And it's a game where Ole Miss is healthy for the first time since before Tennessee.
What I think, when you look at the way that 2019 LSU team was built, and this goes back to kind of how Dave Aranda needs to future, build a staff. They had Dave Aranda was the structure, was the foundation, and Joe Brady was the house, and Ed O was just the homeowner that was leasing it out to these two. But Joe Brady was the electricity, and it was just great. And
the best
Aranda
part of
needs
Ed O,
that in Baylor.
Yeah, the best Joe Burrow was special and bring somebody in that could do special things with him. And there was a pass against Auburn the year before. Auburn was beating up on LSU. It was inch perfect. And at that point, I think a light went on with O. It was like, whoa, that is pretty special. But he also knew that even though he's an offensive coordinator in the NFL, that guy wasn't the guy to do it. Yeah. And then it needed to find a way to open that up. Because think about the wide receivers. In 2018, they went to the Fiesta Bowl and played UCF. But think about everybody that was on that team. It was crazy. But they made the Fiesta Bowl. They won that game, and they used to springboard, got Joe Brady, and created the greatest college football team of all time. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, those wide receivers, Thaddeus. Because it's like, you can just go balls to the wall with offense in the SEC and win? Okay, and Alabama's like, okay, we'll do that.
And we're still going ball. That's the difference. And there's the difference between the Big 12 and the SEC.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're all offense, and we sprinkle a little of both.
Yeah.
Raise a glass to Tennessee tomorrow. They'll probably be the SEC's first win.
Absolutely.
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. It won't be South Carolina, I don't think.
No.
I don't know. It could be. I'm pulling for it.
That's a St. Francis quarterback. Once again, it's quarterback problems in the SEC. When 13 out of 14 teams get a bid, there's about 4 teams that don't deserve bids. It doesn't matter which conference you're in. I mean, that's just absolutely true. And you can see early on, they didn't deserve bids. They just won games that they shouldn't have won. Missouri shouldn't have beat Florida. Florida should not have beat Florida State. And that's how they backdoored into the bowl season. That's the reason they played before Christmas in some cases, which is absolutely unheard of in the SEC.
Yeah.
You don't play before Christmas if you're an SEC team. You don't play before New Year's, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's even considered bad. Playing before New Year's.
The 30th is okay.
All right. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, the way they've spread the bowls out is playing, I guess.
Yeah, with State and the Liberty Bowl on the 28th or whatever it was, that's kind of the start of bowl week.
Yeah.
Kicking it off.
Yeah.
And if you go beyond, you're pretty much where you're supposed to be. If you play before that, no.
If you're in what used to be the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Gasparilla Bowl, it's a pirate celebration in Tampa, by the way. That's what Gasparilla
why
is.
Mike Leach wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's right up his alley.
They have a pirate ships comes into the bay, the whole 9 yards. We're really looking forward down here. It's in February every year. That is Gasparilla.
Look for Mike Leach to be there.
You know who's
We
not
might
going to be
run
there?
He's
Gators.
probably already in Key West.
So,
He was probably already in Key West before the game was over on Monday.
his mind was.
He was not.
It
He was
wasn't in that
He wanted
game.
to be anywhere but Memphis. So,
Yeah.
Tennessee, I think they're going to beat the brakes off Purdue. Personally, I really like where they sit.
Yeah, I do
It's
too.
nice coming into a game where all the problems aren't on your side. We're having most of our players come back. I think Cade Mays is still hurt. He won't be playing at tackle. But other
He's
than that, we're healthy. We're everybody's going to play. Alante Taylor, I guess, is the only one that's really opted out. But Purdue's had a lot of people not show up. A lot of illness, people opting out. So, yeah, Tennessee's definitely in the better position this time.
Hey Jeb, I'm gonna go off topic for just a second. The chair that you're sitting in makes you look like you have Bill Goldberg traps. Like you've been like hitting the weight room like crazy.
Yeah.
The shirt and the chair like match up perfectly. You look like the biggest beastodon I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
Like, don't nobody want a piece of that.
Gotta stop wearing black in this chair. You're right.
I thought we was talking.
Makes you look swole, man.
I thought we was talking to Johnny Cash with all the black on.
Yeah. Johnny Cash will whoop your ass. So it looks like we're gonna see you on SmackDown tomorrow night.
Yep.
But speaking of SmackDown, Tennessee, I just think that the way they play and I said it from day one, Steve. As soon as they hired Josh Heupel, I was like, man, you're going to see a way different Tennessee team. This transition, if there is a rough patch, it's going to be because this roster's depleted. It ain't going to be because of how well they're coached, and it's not going to be because of their style of play. They're going to like Josh Heupel, I think, has figured out how to go tempo, not like tempo, but like tempo, like snap it every 10 seconds tempo. There's different modes when you go with tempo. But he's found a way to match that with defense, like and still be able to play complementary football where where they're able to move the chains a little bit, where they're able to manipulate. Okay, our defense is a little tired. We're going to need to slow it down just a little bit, but we can still go fast enough to where you can't get a beat on us. And is it going to get you burnt sometimes? Yeah, probably. But for the most part, I think he's done a tremendous job managing that. And it helps when you have somebody like Hendon Hooker, which Virginia Tech, you saw what happened to them today. There's a reason why Hendon left. Because they were pitiful. And you want to talk about having a Maserati in your facility and driving it in first gear. That's what they did with Hendon Hooker. Josh Heupel came in and opened that thing up, man, and it's been great.
But the Joe Milton stink is going to be on this situation because there was 3 games before even Josh Heupel realized what he had with Hendon Hooker.
Exactly, and they probably, who would have, they go from 7-5 to 9-3 at least, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they beat Pitt with Hooker.
They're in the Outback Bowl at a minimum if they start with Hendon Hooker.
They
beat
close
Pittsburgh.
to beating Pitt without him.
Yeah.
I think they beat Pitt with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so too, but it's so early in the season you don't really truly know. But maybe they're playing Iowa in the Outback Bowl.
In the Peach Bowl with Kenny Two Gloves and Kenneth Walker III opting out, just basically ruining that game. Here's an exhibition upon exhibitions, and it's just on people quitting on their teams. That's what people need to realize right now. In the age of NIL and the age of the Austin ruling where they can actually pay you $10,000 or whatever in expenses, this is quitting on your team. And this is destroying your team's chance to go out on a good note. Closing the season with Baylor and New Orleans is no different than opening it against Louisville and Atlanta. Just didn't. It's another non-conference game.
Yep.
I honestly don't understand it. And maybe I understand it's a business decision, and I get that. They don't want to get hurt. They're trying to get into the draft to make lots of money, but I would want to play in my school's last game,
Yeah.
especially in a bowl game. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to.
I think this is a huge red flag, Jeb. Because if you won't play because you're scared you're going to get hurt, either you're made of glass like Christian McCaffrey, who sat out his bowl game and it turned out to be warranted because he's been made of glass in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a huge red flag.
Killing my fantasy team.
Because I've got Josh Allen and Cooper Kupp. I drafted Chris McCaffrey and then those other two. I'm in the finals this week. But my running back situation right now, I'm starting Rashad Penny and Rex Burkhead in the finals this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't keep up with who's playing with all the COVID things. So
I know, right?
That's awful.
But with Kenneth Walker, I guarantee that wasn't his decision.
Yeah, it's an agent's decision in his ear. Yeah, I mean, in a situation,
greed.
Yeah, you're going to make all this money potentially, but you just gave them a huge red flag by not playing. Now, it is on the NFL to punish these players for sitting out. If you sit out, you should almost drop a round. And
I mean, there's some teams that do. I mean, obviously, all 32 need to be unified in that. Like where you drop a guy on a draft board, and cost him some guaranteed money, they won't sit out.
Yeah,
right.
If it becomes publicized that happens, you won't see this sitting out stuff.
What this is, what opt-out has become in the age of NIL, is not showing up to work on Christmas Day or whatever holiday it is at McDonald's because 6 months down the line you could work at Lehman Brothers. No guarantee that you'll get that job. You just might get that job. But so we're not going to work on New Year's Day because that'll happen. Maybe some fry grease will get up and burn your hand, and that'll affect your Lehman Brothers job.
That's true.
That is what is happening now. Now, it used to be. Now, it absolutely used to be when they got absolutely nothing. Why risk it? Because nothing is happening other than the self-fulfillment of wanting to be with your team. The stuff that Ole Miss is coming together and coalescing for the Sugar Bowl. That's the kind of stuff that used to be the only thing that would save this. But now in the age of NIL and the Austin ruling, there's nothing you can do. This is all basically about legacy. If you want to be seen as a mercenary, opt out. If you want to see as somebody that is a legend at your school and have a chance to do something really special, play the game.
Yeah.
Yes, play the game. You play to win the. Well, actually, he doesn't play to win the game, but I don't understand it. Like you're on a big stage, you're going in a big bowl matchup. I mean, there should be incentives. There's. I don't know how you penalize it because the NFL don't give two shits about. Pardon my Portuguese there, but they don't give two whats about bowl games. But there should be something. There needs to be something in place that entices these kids to come back and play a meaningless bowl game, or just don't have bowl games. Like, is it time to move on from bowl games?
No, there's a place for it. There's a place for it. Like the number 60 player on Clemson's roster in the Cheez-It Bowl tonight. That kid's not going to the NFL. This Cheez-It thing is one of the weeks that he's going to remember for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And an opt-out could ruin that. That's another reason that bothers me. Okay, you're really, really good, and you're a lot of the reason why you got there. Don't screw us over now. Because that's really what it is.
Well, we're talking about incentives, could potentially the schools make an incentive where if you decide to pull out your bowl game, you have to repay all the money that the school gave you in an NIL deal back?
No, I think what's going to happen is these teams that could opt out, you're going to see people that need to opt out and want to opt out and all of this stuff, but bowl games are going to pull together NIL money to make sure they play. That's probably the future of this. And you do some handshake thing and do what you have to do at the bowl week, but they can make sure that so-and-so is in the game through NIL.
Because, I mean, look at the NBA. When I was growing up, they never did this, whatever they call the load management. Now you have star players like on national TV when they have, games on national TV that's not even playing because of load management, and it's just because of rest. You never heard about that back when, like 10 years ago.
Noah and Ryan pitched for 25 years and never heard of a pitch count. And now they put everybody on a pitch count.
Yeah, you get 80 pitches, you're done.
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous. Like, Kawhi Leonard plays 60 games. We saw how that worked out for them. The teams that play their guys are going to win championships. Like it's just a foregone conclusion. Like if you practice load management to a ridiculous level, I get it. Like every once in a while, I could see, okay, you're going to let a guy rest 5 games throughout the course of the season. I get that. That's just good roster management. But like this whole like trend of load management where like you play 60 out of 82 games doesn't sit well with me, because you lose a lot of that chemistry, you lose a lot of that stuff, and I don't know.
And you lose 10 of those games.
Yeah, what
rankings.
What they're saying is it doesn't matter if we lose those games.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't matter. What it also says is we think we're going to win all of these games. So, the ones where he plays, we're going to win it. So if the load management is 60 games, they're planning on winning 50 of them, and then probably 10 more of the ones he doesn't play. If that doesn't happen, you've just blown up your franchise. There's a chance you will not make the playoff, and it's all over load management.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why the Clippers get knocked out in the second round every year. Because they want to, like, the Warriors guys, they play. Those guys play, man.
Steph Curry plays every single game. And
you don't hit 3,000 threes by taking a break.
No.
I mean, Michael Jordan was 39 years old playing for the Wizards. He played all 82 games. Mm-hmm. And he played 37 minutes of all of those games.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
In a vastly more physical NBA.
And people play,
oh, yeah.
And people pay ungodly amounts of money to come see these guys play. Like, people support your franchise to come see these teams play. And it's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the sport. I get it if you have a knock, if you're injured, if you're hurt, and maybe a February 17th game against the Bucks on a Tuesday, maybe it doesn't mean as much if you got a few knocks. Okay, I get it. But like just for the hell of it, no, I don't like that. There's got to be some reason where, like, guy landed funny on his ankle on Sunday against the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Analytics have destroyed baseball and are destroying basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't know that it'll affect football that much, but there's some games that have been. There's some coaches that have gotten fired because they trusted analytics too much and no gut instinct.
Yeah. Every now and then Lane Kiffin calls a game like a 12-year-old playing Madden. I mean, he just does it. I mean, that's just a thing about it. But I think that's about as far as analytics are going to go with football.
Yeah.
But baseball and basketball, yes, those sports have been ruined.
The Braves tried to lose a World Series on analytics.
Oh my gosh.
The Dodgers really screwed. Like, Dave Roberts really screwed himself with analytics. He pulled. I forget the name of the pitcher at this point, but it was like game 6, and he was like, he was dealing.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves couldn't touch him, and
pulled him after 5 innings, wasn't it?
Pulled him after 5 innings because his spot came up in the lineup, and I guess they needed a base runner. I don't know. They pinch hit for him, and then the Braves tattooed the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up winning that game. But the Dodgers were up like 2-0 for like most of that game, and they couldn't touch him. I think it was AJ. I can't remember the guy's name, but one of their stars.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Yahoo Sports Minute.
Sure.
So, analytics, man. But speaking of analytics, what do the analytics say about Cincinnati's chances of beating Alabama?
Not good.
I think is it going to be a Michigan-Cincinnati national championship?
No.
Is Alabama interested in being there?
Yes.
They are.
The reason is because
I heard
honestly,
Bryce Young was opting out.
Yeah. I'm sure that room would get started. But I mean,
Jameson Williams made a business decision.
Yeah, he's going to play, but it's.
I heard they upgraded their offensive coordinator by leaving Bill O'Brien at home.
COVID thing. So.
By the way, Will Anderson looks extremely locked in, and that listening to him talk right now is some of the scariest things I've ever heard.
Yeah,
that's what you want out of a linebacker.
There's a picture of Jacoby Dean. They're doing a shoot drill where they're doing some, I don't know what the drill is because it's just a picture of them starting the drill. They're underneath the chute. I imagine it's like I imagine it's the drill where they roll the medicine ball at you and you got to do it, and there's some guy holding a dummy and you tackle the dummy. I don't know. It's probably one of those drills. But like he has the Singletary eyes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Singletary eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just complete.
Oh.
Yeah. Mike Singletary.
It's like I don't want none. I want to be like Lincoln Riley in the SEC. No mas. I do not want it at all.
I want to be like Texas A&M when they look at Wake Forest.
Oh
no
yeah,
mas.
yeah.
No. We're scared. We're going to fake COVID.
Mississippi State
Jeb,
when they see Texas
trivia.
Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Jeb, trivia.
Yeah.
Who said no mas? What boxer said no mas?
Taco Bell. Oh no, a boxer.
Yeah. No, that's Liv Moss.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
You're closer than you know.
I can't think of his name. Manny Pacquiao.
Roberto
no,
Duran.
Yes, that's right. Roberto Duran. Who was he fighting, Steve?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I can understand that.
I'm so old. I remember when boxing was a big deal.
Boxing was a big deal when I remember. God, I remember it being a huge deal. The Holyfield Tyson fights.
Yeah, but that was at the very that was at the very end in the 80s. Like Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hagler and those guys, like
Hagler.
1984.
Hagler
yeah. I mean, it was a huge
no defense
deal.
fight.
Yeah, they would do closed circuit TV for these boxing matches in the Coliseum in Jackson. You could go watch the fight in the Coliseum on the Jumbotron.
Wow. That is
And
awesome.
Tyson was amazing, but I think his biting the ear off thing was a big part of the decline of boxing. Like, it just started becoming a joke after that. No, there were still some good fights. It wasn't.
Yeah, because he's a few cards short of a full deck.
Listen, Mike Tyson would train. He would have a 6-hour session, and he would intentionally knock out his sparring partners because he wanted to get home and watch Tom and Jerry. That's what we were dealing with, Mike Tyson.
So, who wanted that job?
Yeah, really.
I would not want to get knocked out by Mike Tyson. I probably wouldn't want to do it now. He still looks like he's.
That dude would destroy you.
He wanted to watch Tom and Jerry. It's like, what is going on?
Hey guys, I gotta watch Tom and Jerry. What's that like? I'm gonna knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
Wham!
Yeah.
Man, he would walk in. I remember his fight against Michael Spinks in 86 or 87. This was early Mike Tyson, to where he walked over and basically did a Popeye thing, hit Spinks with a left hook in 30 seconds. He was knocked out. He was done. It was over. And it was one of those things like, no, people always say, would you take a punch from Mike Tyson's for $10 million? No, not
no.
even
Because you
slightly.
probably wouldn't be able to enjoy that $10 million.
Yeah. This is a person that with a punch could kill you. No, not at all.
Nope. No thanks.
But anyway, Desmond Ritter, right?
Yeah, Desmond Ritter. Speaking of knockout punches, Desmond Ritter. No, I see a lot of people comparing the Georgia Peach Bowl to like Cincinnati, connecting that to Cincinnati's chances of beating Alabama in the college football playoff, which to me, I think is lazy because you look at a situation where you had some injuries plus like 8 opt-outs and a few transfers, and you had a Georgia team that was like 20 players short of what they ended the season with.
Right.
And when you play that out, you had a team that, they were interested in being at the Peach Bowl, but I mean, it was right down the street. It was in Atlanta. We're playing Cincinnati. Okay, we can, they probably walked in there early and thought, okay, we could just walk in here and steamroll Cincinnati, and Cincinnati came out like a scout team All-American, and Georgia finally second half put them in their place, and
Georgia won the game. That's what people are always talking about. Georgia won that game, and
when they had to, Cincinnati couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
When Georgia really had to have it, Cincinnati they couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm like, that's great and all, but no. I mean, Alabama, like the first quarter might be interesting because Cincinnati can throw a hell of a punch, but I think Alabama's going to maul them from there.
Cincinnati should take the ball. I mean, that's the best chance they have because I don't think they're prepared what will physically happen in that game. Alabama, for whatever reason, they're the number 1 seed. They just beat Georgia. For some reason, they feel disrespected, and because of that, they play with a chip on their shoulder. I expect this to be a very physical game. I expect Brian Robinson to just absolutely go off.
Yeah.
In this game, this is tailor-made for him, and I think whenever Cincinnati gets punched, and we talked about boxing early, I think the punch that's going to come from Alabama is going to stagger them, and this could be a game that's 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, and Cincinnati's just done.
Two things.
I need Alabama to blow out Cincinnati so they're feeling really good going to the national championship. I need them to be smelling themselves a little bit. Okay, go ahead.
No, good. Two things. I brought this up on our show last night actually that we did a little preview show. But moving forward and starting next year too, I don't think Cincinnati, and I really don't know how anybody's. How do you game plan for Will Anderson? You can't.
You run right at him. I mean, I honestly, I thought Georgia did a pretty good job with Will Anderson.
Yeah.
I don't think he was as much of a factor as he could have been.
Right. But he's still gonna get back there.
Georgia has a Stetson problem, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I've seen a lot of Cincinnati fans this week on Twitter compare, Cincinnati's defense with Georgia's defense. There's a world difference. I'm sorry. Cincinnati's defense is not as good as Georgia's defense.
Not even close.
No. And they think, no offense, Corey, we just put up 42 on y'all's defense. What are we going to do to Cincinnati's defense unless we take our foot off the gas?
We had the weakest game plan against you guys.
Right. So
conspiracy theory makes me think that was on purpose. Whatever reason, the conspiracy theory makes me think it's on purpose.
If it was, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Israel and I came down to two things for Georgia. A, they're going to start Stetson Bennett. They've already announced that. So why not have a game plan that's suited
Dollar General, A.J. McCarron?
Yeah, that's right. Dollar General.
He won a championship, though.
No, Dollar Tree. That's like that's like the weaker of the dollar stores. But in all seriousness, like, do they not know JT and Stetson are two different types of quarterbacks?
Right.
Why would you think that Stetson can do what JT can do?
Mm-hmm.
They tried that in the Alabama game, and Alabama just sat their safeties at 10 yards and said, okay, come and get it. And I don't know what that was. They need to have a game plan that takes advantage of his ability to move, his ability to hit intermediate passes, his ability as a run faker, and his, just his overall competitive spirit. Like, he's not a sit in the pocket and pick teams apart. He's got to put those linebackers on the move. Like, when they can sit and not be in conflict and play everything underneath them, I mean, any team can win like that. What they did against the other teams is baffling, because they did that. They put the reason why Georgia was so successful under Stetson Bennett is because they put linebackers in conflict so frequently that they could never be right, and that's how they were able to run these scores up on these teams. Like Tennessee doesn't have a bad defense.
No.
Kentucky doesn't have a bad defense. Arkansas is pretty damn good at defense. Like, a lot of these teams that I'm naming, Auburn, fairly well on defense when they play aggressive. Like, these are teams that gave Alabama fits. And you, for some reason, go into a shell and try to sit back and play a style of game that you haven't played all year long. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So
where was the RPO game in the SEC championship game on Henry To'oTo'o? That is his weakness. He wants to play downhill. There needs to be somebody, and your best receiver is a tight end, just perfectly tailor-made for that position on the field.
Now you get George Pickens back too, who you hit a deep ball early in the game and you don't go back to him.
Yep.
What is that about?
Yeah, I do give Alabama props, because they did put the safeties at 12 yards, and they said, do not flex. Make them prove they can hit over the top of you, and if they don't, we're just going to constrict them to death. And that's what exactly what they did. Kirby does the same thing. That's how they play defense. To beat Alabama, to beat Georgia, you have to throw the ball down the field, period. Yeah. It's not about mobile quarterbacks. Yeah. It's not about mobile quarterbacks. It's about throwing the ball down the field and making those safeties take a few steps back and opening up space in those intermediate areas that normally aren't there.
I mean, they killed the intermediate middle zone with Slade Bolden on dig routes and crossers and things like that. Man, Slade Bolden was the fucking MVP.
Well, there goes that clean rating.
Yeah, that's going right out the window.
Yeah,
I'm not even drinking yet.
Rewind that, and then just go to the beep right in the front before he says.
Are we on a delay here? If this were a few months ago, we probably legitimately were. But
hey, John,
what's up? That'll get the chat going.
Yeah,
there you go. What's up?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the chat going, guys. Got to play aggressive. But
if you go to Georgia and Michigan. Michigan plays the style of game that Georgia eats up.
Right.
Georgia is a better version of Michigan. So I expect this game to be a 31-10 type game. This is a game that I expect Georgia to win, maybe easier than Alabama beat Cincinnati. And that'll probably set up a Georgia-Alabama game that's going to piss everybody off.
I love it.
I'm fine with that. An all SEC national championship game?
Well, of course you're fine with it.
Yeah, playoff. You want the playoff to expand? All SEC championship game.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the playoff if it wasn't for Alabama and LSU. We just do not have the playoff if it wasn't for Alabama and LSU.
Like, I don't watch bowl games. I really don't like watching bowl games. They're boring. So expand the playoff. Let's go FCS style. Let's go 24 teams, top 8 get buys, and let's roll.
Y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. Back in the 80s, Miami played Penn State And the winner wasn't the national championship. If Miami won, they were the national champion. If they lost, it was the winner of the Sugar Bowl because they never played each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
By the way,
No,
it's been 35 years since somebody showed up at a bowl game in fatigues.
He's dabbing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it happen?
No, I wish it did.
Oh.
512 teams. I'm down with that too.
Oh, we talked about this last night, or maybe it was. Yeah, we talked about this last night, John. John was our associate producer on Believe in Dogs last night. So.
Oh, okay.
I had to run. I'm sorry.
I know. I noticed. You and Cody both like hightailed it out of there.
Hey, we said our piece and got out.
Hey, y'all were true fine bomb listeners. I'll hang up and listen, Paul.
Yeah.
Ain't played nobody, Paul.
Paul.
Hey, Paul. Alabama. They're going to win national championship. I'll take your answer off the air. First time, long time, Paul.
I got a thread on Twitter right now that is starting to blow up.
Uh-oh. Do tell. Yeah, Israel had one last night, too.
Yeah, they're not trying to cancel me this time. This is a real thing. But Ole Miss hired Charlie Weiss Jr.
I saw that.
And I was just explaining why that hire makes sense and what that hire actually means. Because there's a whole bunch of people that want to look at Charlie Weiss Jr.'s stats at USF and think that matters, and it just doesn't matter.
It's a different situation.
Yeah, it's a different situation. It's way more important the 2 years they spent together at FAU and the 2 years they spent at Alabama.
And that's what people fail to look at. But Georgia, Michigan, I think, with that, you're going to have to stop some of the misdirection stuff that they do, some of the wrinkles that they do off their main run game. I think if you get a beat on that, which I think Kirby will, Muschamp and Schumann and Lanning is not the defensive coordinator for this game. They went ahead and said, okay, you can help, you can stay, but you're not going to be the defensive coordinator. We're going to roll on with our plan for next year.
Ooh,
so it's going to be
that cost Alabama a national championship doing that.
Well,
yeah, that's right. Against Clemson.
Yeah, where they rolled Sark in.
Yeah, they sent Lane to FAU early because he wasn't as locked in as they.
Lanning is not going to Oregon. He's just not the defensive coordinator. He's still with Georgia.
Yeah, still a different voice, man.
Yeah,
it's a different vibe. It's a different. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to hurt too bad though.
This team is really, really mature. So I don't know. Muschamp is going to be the new co-DC. They're gonna have Glenn Schumann be the DC. I don't know who's going to call the plays, but Dan Lanning's going to do all the game prep basically. The same way they've been doing it all year. I mean, it's been a Muschamp Schumann Lanning show anyway. Lanning just called the plays.
It's still a different voice, man. I wouldn't start that because this is the scary thing, and this is something Georgia should be careful. Michigan does all kinds of weird trick plays. That's one of the things because they want to mash you. They play the game almost identical to Georgia defensively and offensively. The difference is they do a bunch of weird trick plays and a different voice coming in, a bust here, a bust there, and all of a sudden Michigan's up 14 points at the beginning of the game, and all of a sudden you've got a dogfight to try and come back with the Dollar Tree A.J. McCarron calling the shot.
Pun. Nice pun. So I don't know. I don't know how that'll work, but at least you have a veteran voice in there with Muschamp. So, I mean, it's not totally.
I'm team don't rock the boat right now if you have a playoff game. What worked for 12 weeks, let's keep going until it stops. Like when they got rid of Lane, I was even critical of Alabama getting rid of Lane right before the championship game. And that, if Lane Kiffin was the offensive coordinator, Alabama wins that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Questionable Kirby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That's the great thing about JT getting COVID. it takes the decision out of his hands because nobody has faith that he would make the right one.
No.
I mean, at least now it's like, hey, let's call a game for Stetson and do the best that we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he still has the opportunity. He still left it out there that JT could play in this game.
Yeah.
I thought the offense coordinator come out and said that they was rolling with Stetson and that was it.
Well, Stetson's going to start.
Right, but I didn't know JT was.
I don't know.
I think a championship game in Indianapolis or reverse Tua is a possibility.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
If Georgia wants to beat Alabama, they're going to have to play JT. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, whenever we threw that pick six in the championship game, it was like, oh man, I hate being right. I've called this. I've called this all season since even in the preseason. It's like, oh man, yeah.
There hasn't been a bigger JT fan than Steven. So,
it's not even the JT fan. I'm just maybe call me a Stetson hater or whatever's going on. But any quarterback could have won 12 games. I said that all year long. Either one of those quarterbacks could have won 12 games. This was about winning in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see. We'll see what Kirby has up his sleeve. We'll see what they game plan is, and if it comes out like the game plan they had against Tennessee and Auburn, which I thought were the two best Stetson Bennett games that I saw all season long, where like it was really truly what Stetson is.
And I will say this: if Michigan can get past Georgia, if they can win that game and get to the championship game against Alabama, that is the absolutely worst matchup for Alabama of the four teams.
You think?
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be in Alabama's backfield with that offensive. There's not as much turnaround time because honestly, Alabama's preparing for Georgia right now in the background. What they're doing. If Michigan shows up, they're not going to be as prepared as they were. I think it's the worst matchup for Bryce Young in that defensively. I think Alabama is going to be it would be a low scoring game, and Alabama still might win the game, but I think that game has a chance to go squirrely on them.
I would say this: if Harbaugh wins a championship, he's going to turn into the next Dabo Sweeney and just run his mouth constantly. So I hope to God that does not happen.
The benefit
does because Ohio State's gonna piss them off, and they're gonna.
Ryan Day is going to go to Chicago, and
if Ryan Day doesn't go to the Bears, but it's gonna, if Georgia doesn't win, I'm kind of hoping for chaos. I guess at this point, I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to see John Harbaugh. It'd be great to see John Harbaugh running his mouth because he's with the Ravens. Jim Harbaugh. I keep calling him John because John's the better coach, obviously. But
absolutely.
And I don't care what you say, he should have gone for 2 against the Packers. Should have gone for 2, and he did. And that was absolutely the right call. The play call, we could debate that. But then again, you got a guy that you put that play on Tyler Huntley, and let's go get it. Like he had great success with it, throughout the course of the game with his feet. So I don't fault it. I don't fault it. I mean, it didn't work out. It's easy to say, they should have just kicked the field goal and gone to overtime.
Yeah, your weapon was quarterback legs. Use quarterback legs. Go 5 wide, spread them out, run a quarterback draw.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have called. Or, the sprint out, quick comeback to the front pylon is a great call.
Yeah, if you can throw it accurately, which that quarterback obviously could not.
Right, and you can't do it with Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
on a corner, can't do that. Heath, roll tide. Yeah.
Yeah, roll tide.
Roll tide. Yeah. So it's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun playoff, guys. Hopefully we get a Georgia-Alabama rematch. Hopefully Georgia's.
I think we will.
We'll give you guys the SEC championship. We'll take the Natty this year, and then it'll be like the reverse of 2017, where Georgia took the SEC and Bama took the Natty.
Yeah, I think a reverse 2 is on the table. Now it could be something that goes horribly wrong, but
It could, because
I think Georgia has a better chance to play with Alabama in the championship game, in the national championship, because they lost the SEC championship game. If they'd have won that game, they would have had no chance to beat Alabama.
Yeah, no, not at all. Well, Alabama, if they had won that game, Alabama wouldn't be in the field probably.
Yeah,
So you're looking at like Notre Dame.
Yeah, that means Ole Miss and Oklahoma State. So close, that almost happened.
Yet again.
Oh my
That would have been
God.
awesome. Just to see your reaction, that would have been fun.
I would have been on here like Bill O'Reilly on hard copy or whatever. So we'll do it live.
Hard
A little bit of
There's
Dennis
a
Green
reference.
in there. We knew they are what we thought they are.
Let them off the hook.
All right, let off the hook. Yeah. Yep.
That's funny.
That's
But
right. It is.
But you know what? That's going to do it for us here, actually, on the SEC After Dark podcast on the Y'all's Conference Network.
Mm-hmm.
Big
We
things
back.
afoot. We're back.
We back.
We're
Back.
Big things afoot in 2022. If you want to join the show as a partner, as a business partner, we will take care of you in a multitude of different ways. As you can see, the rotating logos down in the bottom corner. You can get one of us to say a few words about your company. You can have us drink some free beer on here.
I'll drink free beer.
I'll wear
Absolutely.
whatever. I'll put something on my wall back there if you want me to. I don't have much space at this point, but I can make some arrangements.
And this
Get
is
you wearing an Alabama shirt.
This isn't real wood, so I can change that too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Steve is in 2 years I'll be a man because I'm not.
Come out to me. I'm a man. I'm 40. Oh, gosh. Iconic rant ever.
I was a man 5 years ago.
I'm a man. 40.
I still got it 10 years.
Yeah.
Jesus, how young are you?
I'm 30. 10 years, Corey.
Me and Jeb are in Winter Haven, Florida, living the retiree lifestyle. Old people everywhere. We're the youngest people in our neighborhood by about 20 years. It's
When do you get the
fantastic.
rascal, Steve?
I don't know, but you see them everywhere. You go to Disney all the time, and they're all in there, and you just like, why are you doing this? Because there's people just going through the line and the rascal and everything. It's like, stand in line. Dude.
What is that?
You're not walking fast enough.
What is a rascal or whatever y'all called it?
It's a
Little
scooter.
It's
Oh, I was going to say like a moped type deal.
old
Yeah.
people scooter.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
It goes like 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old people scooter. But anyway, before ADD
play
radio
to
plays us
win the
completely out of
game.
control.
Yeah. It's gone off the rails a little bit.
Yep. As it
Hey, everybody, enjoy
right.
the college football
Follow
playoff. This will be our last show before the semifinals. Thank you very much for that. And we'll be back next week where hopefully Corey and Jake get to just go back and forth and talk all kinds of noise, and me and Jeb just get to look at it and laugh.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. We're out.
See y'all.
Take care.
See y'all.
Go Dogs.
Roll Tide.
VOLS. Go. Falls. Go. Did I get that right?